Good evening, and welcome to everyone. I'm Linda Lerner, co-chair of this marvelous event with Ashley. And we are truly thrilled to see each of you in our beautiful temple, which, by the way, really looks like a Broadway stage tonight, doesn't it? And also because you're part of our welcoming Jewish community. We are so grateful for your presence tonight. We are very grateful for your presence here tonight and for your meaningful generosity. And now we're going to meet our very special honorees and to hope you really enjoy Bright Lights of Broadway. Okay.
And speaking of bright lights, your generosity is what keeps our bright lights on at the temple here and in our Naples Jewish community. I'm Ashley Solomon, and I'm so delighted to be a part of recognizing our outstanding honorees this year. And now I'd like to welcome Rabbi Miller to the stage.
Let's give another round of applause for Ashley and Linda, who've done a fantastic job. Tonight would not be what it is without their efforts and all of their committee. We'll get to honoring them in a moment, friends. But as we begin tonight, I won't wish you Shabbat Shalom, although you're probably all expecting that. Instead, what I will remind you to do is, just like on Shabbat, please make sure that all of your electronic devices are silenced. The odds of you having the right Broadway melody and the right key at the right time are pretty slim. So let's just go ahead and set all those to silent, do not disturb, or off, so that we can be fully focused on what it is that we are here for tonight, which is a wonderful night of celebration as we honor our honorees. We'll get to them in a moment, but also being here tonight for a community event. Knowing, friends, that even now, so much is transpiring across our country and around the world, and it pulls at our attention at every moment. We're especially cognizant of the increase in anti-Semitism around our country, the anti-Israel gatherings happening on college campuses, and of course, the conflict that continues to be in Israel and those hostages being held in Gaza. We can't forget that. But while that may weigh on us, we also know that the best way to lift our spirits is to show that we can still say L'chaim. We can celebrate life, finding joy through music and demonstrating that the people of Israel remain strong and vibrant even today. Tonight we'll be recognizing 4 individuals who have given generously of themselves to Temple Shalom, and we will connect with the power of music to the magic of Broadway. But most importantly, we are all here to show that we're invested in the future of the Jewish people and our community. So I want to thank everyone who is here tonight for all of your generous support to our temple family. It's because of you that Temple Shalom is the largest and most vibrant center for Jewish life in Southwest Florida, the largest congregation between Tampa and Miami. Know that your gifts, your tzedakah, enables us to provide spiritually meaningful Jewish worship and life cycle events. Your generosity makes it possible for us to engage Jewish education for adults and to transform today's youth into tomorrow's mensches. And your presence, especially at moments like this, creates that warm family feeling that makes this community special. So thank you for being here tonight. All of you all deserve your own round of applause, please. I want to especially thank our fantastic committee chairs. Let's give a special round of applause for Ashley and Anthony Solomon and Linda Lerner. I also want to thank all of those who worked with them, giving their time and talents as part of the committee that put this together. While I know not all could be here tonight, I want to ask those who are present, when you hear your name read, to rise and remain standing so that we can recognize you. Certainly our chairs, Ashley and Anthony and Linda, to rise. And along with them, Sheila and Howard Agranot, Claudia and Larry Baer, Myra and Mort Friedman, Ellen and Steve Goldberg, Dr. Paula Brody and Meryl Hassenfeld, Bobby and Jean Katz, Harriet and Merlin Lickhalter, Jane and Rabbi Jim Perman, Estelle and Stuart Price, Karen and Rowan Samuel, Jennifer Siegelmiller, Janet Solot, Judy and Dan Spitman. Let's give a long round of applause for all of our committee. Thank you so much. I was asked this earlier tonight, Rabbi, how much do you know about tonight? I said, blessedly little. We are growing so much as a congregation. For those who don't know, we are almost 1,000 households here at Temple Shalom. As part of that growth, one of the amazing things is to think back to 1962 when this congregation was founded, when Jews were not welcome in Southwest Florida. And the other amazing thing is to realize we've grown to the point that I don't have to be at every committee meeting. All these are good things. I also want, Stuart, you're just happy I'm not singing. That's what you're happy about. I also want to recognize some dignitaries and collaborative partners who are joining us here tonight. And I apologize if I miss anyone along the way. I do want to recognize my colleague, Rabbi Rona Shapiro, Don's daughter, who is here tonight. Rona, you can stand. We can recognize you. I know you're not working this event, but we are still delighted to have you here. Richard LeBaire, President and CEO of Harry Chapin Food Bank, our partners. Thank you, Richard, for being here. Nami Ichalov, President and CEO of Jewish Federation of Greater Naples, and to rise with him, Nat Ritter, the Board Chair of Jewish Federation of Greater Naples. Nat, where are you? Okay, well, we appreciate both of you supporting this and our community here at Temple Shalom. I want to also recognize someone who's here to honor his friends, Daryl and David Sisman. We welcome Father Michael Basden, the former rector at Trinity by the Cove. See, this is the difference. He's retired. He doesn't want to get up. Thank you, Zachary. By the way, Michael, just so you know, Zachary's happy to do that to anyone. He keeps wanting to walk up to next to me and see if he's finally reached my height, which I think he probably has. It's a little scary. And I also want to recognize, here to support her dear friend, Don Shapiro, we have Rabbi Deborah Waxman, the head of the Reconstructionist movement, who is joining us here tonight. She's the president and CEO of Reconstructing Judaism and is here because of Don's great dedication to the Reconstructionist movement, which you'll hear about in a moment. It is a delight to have all of you here, and especially our guests, as we recognize our 4 honorees tonight. It is my distinct privilege now to present our first honorees, Don and Arlene Shapiro. This is what it's like working with Don. The minute you mention his name, be like, should I be up there right now? No, you can sit down for a moment, Don, and listen as we acknowledge all of your wonder and the accomplishments you've done here. Because always on the move, going from activity to activity and event to event, we are fortunate that we got Don and Arlene in one place long enough that we could recognize them and all that they have done for Temple Shalom and our Jewish community here in Southwest Florida. That we're able to do this during the Met spring training season is a testament to how much Don loves Temple Shalom. Don was the co-chair of the search committee that brought me to Temple Shalom. And fortunately for me, and I think all of our Temple family, he agreed, perhaps consented is a better word, to be the president of the congregation for my first 2 years. It was not a task that Don took lightly, having served previously as the president of two other congregations and having been the lay chair of the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College in Philadelphia. Before my arrival here, Don arranged that we would meet, knowing that he would be the president and I would now be the rabbi. We each drove a few hours and we met in Sturbridge, Massachusetts, just off of the Mass Pike. Don shared with me the moment that forever changed his life and his relationship with the Jewish community, the tragic passing of his father around the age of his bar mitzvah, and the impact the rabbi of that congregation, Rabbi Jacob Philip Rudin of blessed memory, had upon Don's life, embracing him and his family, being there for them in a critical time of need. That compassion and empathy forever cemented Don's connection with the Jewish community. I share this story in part because whenever I think of Don and Arlene and their tireless dedication, I think of the words from Rabbi Rudin himself, who said, "When I depart this world and am no more, let it not be said that the world was good to me, but rather that I was good to the world, that some small corner is better because I was here." Well, friends, without a doubt, our world is better because Arlene and Don have been here. They have tirelessly dedicated themselves to making the world better and to making the most of their time in life. Don's leadership accolades are there, and know that Arlene herself has also stepped up in so many ways to accept mantles of responsibility, to be active in areas where her passions lie. Arlene has been a leader here in our Jewish community. Before Don was president, she was a treasurer here at Temple Shalom, working on our executive board and leading our community. She's a president of her prior congregation in New York City, and she's a past board chair at the Naples Shelter for Abused Women and Children, and has even been instrumental in creating a local women's interfaith dialogue group that continues to meet to this day. As if all of their charitable efforts were not enough, Don and Arlene never waste a moment of time in life. A few years ago, Jennifer and I visited them in the Berkshires, and I got to tell you, their schedule was exhausting. Performances, shows, speakers, lunches, dinners, Tanglewood, we couldn't keep up with them. Even a minor side trip to the ER, Don jumped right back in and said, "We're going out to dinner tonight, right, guys?" It was too much for us. But I know with all of their activities, at the center of it all is their dedication to family. I'd like to invite all of their family who are here, their children and grandchildren, all those who have traveled to be with Don and Arlene tonight, to please rise at this time so we can celebrate you being here for them. Your presence over the course of this weekend is remarkable and an invaluable tribute to how much family means to them and what it means to have continuity of the Jewish people. Don and Arlene really want to make sure that we will be able to continue our sacred chain of tradition for many more years to come. They've given of themselves so tirelessly, so there will be a community in the future. They are major participants in our We're Golden campaign to mark our 50th anniversary. They supported writing our Torah, the scroll that we completed a little over 10 years ago, that we use at all of our life cycle events. Don and Arlene have given their time, talents, and treasure that Temple Shalom would be what it is today. I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it again. The world is a better place because you are here. And Temple Shalom is a better community because you are a part of our one family. Thank you, Don and Arlene, for all that you have given. Thank you for every time you put your heart and soul in a project. And thank you for being wonderful friends and mensches. I'd like to invite the two of you to come up now as we celebrate you and all of your accomplishments here at Temple Shalom. And joining me now, I welcome up as well our temple president, Josh Garfield, who's going to present some gifts to you as small tokens of the deep love and affection and gratitude that we feel for the two of you here at Temple Shalom. Josh?
Hi, congratulations. Thank you for everything. Let me present this to you from the temple. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll use that.
I'll move it out of the way for a second.
Just turn it around. For me, it's always been about community. I never considered myself a particularly religious man, but when we came to Naples, our dear friend Rose Mass. How many people remember Rose Mass? Quite a few. Rose introduced us to this temple and later formed our Havurah, which still exists. There I met my other dear friend, Howard Solot, the late Howard Solot, who persuaded me, the nominating committee, to nominate me to be president, and then persuaded me to accept. And at that point, and from then on, this temple has been the center of my Jewish life here in Naples. So thank you so much.
Our sincere thanks to all of you for honoring us. Most of us have found Naples after growing up somewhere else. Don and I have been especially fortunate to have been here for over 23 years and to have been able to see our Jewish community grow and flourish. Living in Naples has been a great opportunity for us to show our appreciation for all that we have been blessed with. Thank you so much for making it all possible.
It's wonderful tonight to not just to be able to honor one couple, but two who have made a tremendous impact on our community. And Daryl, I apologize. It's going to be more than a couple sentences. I know you don't like to be in the spotlight like this, but tonight is deserved for you and David and for all that you have done for our temple family. And I feel blessed to recognize my friends and our co-honorees, David and Daryl Sisman. Now, in all fairness, while Daryl likes to sometimes hide when it comes to the spotlight, she outed herself to me at the beginning, finding me just after I arrived here at Temple Shalom, and she came to the area as well, introducing herself and sharing that she had been an active member at Temple Judea in Coral Gables, where my friend Judith Siegel is the senior rabbi, and Daryl mentioned being involved in the preschool at Judea and even working into temple leadership. Of course, I called Rabbi Siegel right after that, and she made it clear in no uncertain terms that I had to engage Daryl ASAP, and that she said she would be a vital asset to our congregation and our community. With due respect, I think Rabbi Siegel gave us an underestimation of just how much impact Daryl would have, as Temple Shalom could not be what it is without Daryl. Within just a couple of years, we had Daryl on our temple board, and I learned from our conversations that her own parents, Bill and Irene Smith of blessed memory, were highly influential upon her and her dedication to temple. They had been founding and active members of Honorees Shalom, the congregation in Hingham, Massachusetts, where the Ner Tamid was designed by Daryl's mom, Irene. Daryl dedicated more than a decade of her time and talents here at Temple Shalom, moving through our leadership from being a member of the board to second vice president to first vice president and finally president. And her wisdom and insight along the way proved invaluable, as she often had a gift for sorting through complex problems and figuring out how to make the difficult decisions that we needed to make. Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sachs notes that leadership at its highest transforms those who exercise it and those who are influenced by it. The great leaders, he said, were people who make the world around them better, kinder, and more nobler than it would otherwise be. Daryl possesses just those leadership characteristics described by Rabbi Sachs, lifting all of us in our community to higher and more noble places. Her gifts as a leader shone brightest during our most challenging times. Daryl became temple president in the spring of 2020 as our world was collapsing under the COVID pandemic. Her strength and guidance were crucial as we navigated those dangerous waters. When Temple Shalom emerged from the shadow of COVID, we did so with a larger congregation, better financial footing, and a clear vision for our future, all due because of Daryl's leadership. Outside of these walls, Daryl also demonstrates that Jewish tradition should not be limited by our physical boundaries. She and David notably opened their home each year for a massive second night Seder that's even appeared in local publications. A baker for our challah program and delivering loaves to those needing a pick-me-up. David and Daryl also sponsored the visit last year by the Challah Prince, an Instagram star, and one of the crown jewels of our programming last year. While Daryl has been the visible leader at Temple Shalom, this has always been a family affair. And I know that David is always there by her side. He may be behind the scenes, but David's own Jewish connections have been impactful and influential in what's happened. His strong foundation, created by his parents, our members, Arthur and Susan Sisman. I am shocked to not have you in the back of the room tonight in your usual spots. Just for Daryl. That's power, Daryl. They helped to create the base which made David who he is. Beyond the education he received at home and from his schooling, David is one of the most well-read people you can ever meet. And he's the rare individual who invests significant time to understand a subject fully before deciding a path or conclusion that he feels is appropriate. Armed with knowledge, David is unafraid to buck conventional trends and is always okay being ahead of the curve. His intellectual curiosity and passion for Jewish life have made him knowledgeable and insightful, and also a perfect partner for Daryl, providing the counsel that she needed during her leadership here in our congregation. Daryl and David, your dedication to Temple Shalom and your family are exceptional models for all of us to emulate. I'd like to ask the members of your family who are here joining you tonight to stand at this time so we can recognize and celebrate them for coming here to be here with you, especially your children who we've watched grow up here, Gabe and Zachary who are here, and I'm sure Sammy who's thinking of us in Houston. We cannot thank the two of you enough for all that you have given, the hours that you have spent here, and the way that you have lifted those around you, as well as our whole community, to a better place. I feel blessed to call you my friends. It's with great love that our Temple Shalom family honors you tonight. Let's all give a round of applause for our honorees, Daryl and David Sisman. And I welcome back our current Temple president, Josh Garfield, to present a gift to the two of you on behalf of our Temple family.
Daryl David, on behalf of the entire Temple, please accept this gift and our gratitude for everything you have done. Thank you.
My participation and presence at Temple Shalom pales in comparison to Daryl and the Shapiros, but I wanted to talk briefly about why I've always been behind Daryl and very supportive of our temple. Not many people know that my Jewish identity was forged actually in Latin America, where I went first at the age of 20. I arrived there about 3 weeks after the bombing of the AMIA Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires in July 1994. Seeing the bombed out windows was my introduction to being Jewish in the rest of the world. Time and again over the following years during travel and work in Latin America, I observed the interplay in the Jewish community between intense security and similarly intense cohesion. So in my early 20s, I had a decision to make. I was either going to be part of the tight cohesion of a community or I wasn't. There was no in between. I chose to be part of the community, and I'm so happy to have found a life partner who came to the same conclusion from a completely different angle.
As David said, there was no in-between to being part of the Jewish community. For me, that meant always belonging to a synagogue. My parents taught me that we belong so other people can too. At one point, we were members of 3 congregations at the same time. They instilled in me that we were very fortunate to be Jewish and we need to give back. So my parents' lesson was more of a sense of doing the right thing than anything explicit. That's why I'm always confused when people thank me for being president. I just thought it's what you did. Don must have sensed that in me when he cornered me at an event in February of 2014 and told me I was going to be president. He was very persuasive and prophetic. It was really my pleasure to be able to serve as a president of this congregation, and I am excited to see the next chapter. Please indulge me as I go through a list of thank yous. To the clergy for their leadership and direction in manners both spiritual and practical, you created a second home for my family. To Deborah and the office staff for keeping the place running like clockwork. To Don for seeing something in me that I didn't know I had. To Ed Kaufman, Josh Garfield, Alan Weiss for being by my side, metaphorically, during COVID, and to Len for taking over for me. To Ashley, Anthony, Linda, and their committee for this wonderful event. To my family for supporting me while I got more and more and more and more involved. And thank you to you all for coming to support us. Thank you.